I feel like I need to address the elephant in the room. It's been a long time. I have not been posting on social media like at all. I've started AuthorTube really strong. I had a whole schedule for myself that I was really trying to keep up with. I was trying so hard to be consistent with filming and vlogging and everything. And I got to a point where I just felt so burdened and so stressed by the thought of posting. Normally, I feel that more towards things like Instagram and TikTok, which is why I eased into YouTube, because I've always wanted to have an AuthorTube channel and I've always wanted to be active on this form of media. And when I started, there was like really good momentum for me, just because I felt like this was something that I enjoyed a lot more than posting on like Instagram and TikTok. But the pressure started to be there, where I just felt so divided with my time. I felt like I wasn't giving enough time to my writing, and but then when I was giving myself time for my writing, I was still thinking about YouTube videos and how to be more creative and how to be more active and how to build my brand and how to build an audience and all this stuff. And I honestly had to like really just stop. And I was extremely overwhelmed with anxiety at the beginning of October. I was extremely just discouraged and feeling like I wasn't good enough, and like all these just like old thoughts that I've really like been wrestling with my whole life, but like have gotten a handle on in like the last like couple years. They all just started resurfacing, and I really needed to just like sit with that and think about like why that was happening. And for me, like that involves like me like sitting and praying and just like asking God to like show me. And I did that a lot through journaling, which helped a lot. But I just really felt at the beginning of October that I needed to step away from posting and filming and just the pressure of having to perform in that way, because it was ruining my creativity. It was making me less motivated to write, which is what I actually want to do with my time and with my talents. And it was also I just had this like really like clouded head of just a million ideas at once, and it was just really hard, honestly. Like all I can say is I was anxious and I didn't know what to do except to stop. So, and not to be like super dramatic or anything, like I'm not trying to be that sounds way more dramatic than it was, but really what happened was I had to be honest with myself about where I was at in my creative journey. And I feel like a lot of people don't do this as often as maybe they should. Like I think because of how social media is set up, we think that, oh, when I start working on my craft, like say I want to be a music artist or whatever, like I have to go all in. I have to immediately start creating an account, posting, whatever. And that doesn't leave an artist time to actually like work on their craft. And that was something that I was really thinking about for myself. And I realized like I've been writing since middle school, since I read Harry Potter in the 7th grade, since I read the Hunger Games, the River of Time series. I knew that writing was something I wanted to try. And it wasn't even like wanting to try. It was just I knew I wanted to be an author. I knew I wanted to create my own stories. I knew I wanted to write. And when I started doing it, it felt so right. Like it felt like I had really like found a part of myself that like I didn't know was there. And I even went to school for writing. Like I went and I studied English. I was writing essays all the time. And I went into a creative writing program where I was writing short fiction, poetry, and I was still working on other books, and like all pretty much within the same Winds of Destiny trilogy and world. And like I came up with another book series and I started like planning that, plotting that, writing scenes for that. But I really thought about it. Like I have only ever really finished writing 2 books in my whole life. And writing novels is really what I'm passionate about. short fiction is not for me. I might dabble in it again at some point. Poetry, not so much for me in like a publication way, but as like a personal therapeutic way, I do enjoy it. But I've just really love fantasy, and I love full-length stories and novels and long series and like sagas. Like I've always really enjoyed that. But I like within a lot of like that time, like I knew I wanted to write novels is what I'm trying to say. I knew I wanted to write novels, and upon realizing that I've only really written 2 of them, and I'm currently rewriting one of the ones that I wrote, I just like realized that even though it's been years, like I just turned 26, I've been writing since I was like 14, like even though it's been like that much time, I'm still in the like amateur, maybe below that. So I would say even like the rookie. Like maybe I'm breaching amateur rookie. I don't know. And that's like specifically when it comes to like writing novels. And like I think in the last few years I've really acquired a lot more knowledge about story structure and, you know, tropes, like writing different tropes and like how to be creative with them and writing deep characters that connect with readers and world building. Like I've consumed and learned so much, which is part of the reason I went back to write my other book. But regardless of that, something that I've really recognized with a lot of like the popular authors that I enjoy and are specifically in the genre that I'm writing in, they don't publish their first books. Like Sarah J. Maas did, and a few other authors I'm sure did as well. But I know an author like Brandon Sanderson, Elantris was his first published novel, but that was his like 13th book that he ever wrote. And I know that that's not the story for everyone, and I know that Brandon Sanderson does specifically recommend that you don't publish your first book, but it just like what I'm trying to say is it just really put things into perspective for me. I have only written 2 novels, which is an achievement, but I think I really just like haven't been able to give the time that my craft needs to grow and to evolve and mature. And I know that there are people out there who have never written a book before, never published a book before, and they are filming their experience. They are actively posting on social media. They are actively showing the journey of completing a book. And I love that. I love those videos. That was my vision for this channel, was showing you guys my journey of actually like finishing this rewrite of The Winds of Destiny. But from like an author business mindset and perspective, I just like started becoming very critical about that, and like specifically towards me and what I was doing. Like I'm really not trying to throw anyone under the bus. Like I really admire a lot of people that are like super vulnerable and posting their like journey of finishing their first book. I think that's amazing. I think it's amazing that people get to publish their first books, and like honestly, like I still don't see too much wrong with that. I understand the logic behind it, but I think like it doesn't always have to be like your 13th book that you publish. Like you can publish the first book you've ever written. But I think for myself, when it comes to the dynamic of wanting to be an author, writing the books, between creating content online can be very overwhelming. And I was overwhelmed, and I think part of the reason I decided to slow down on posting and not be super consistent with it is because I realized that I really want to love writing again. And I really want to give my books the time they need to be completed and perfected to the best that they can be. And I don't know, like with things like TikTok and Instagram, like I feel weird promoting myself when like I don't actually have a book out. Like I do have one out, but I'm trying to rewrite it, and I'm trying to like finish a trilogy. And I don't know, like I just kind of started feeling like me investing all this time into posting on social media and building a brand and building an audience at this moment wasn't necessarily the best use of my time. I kind of felt this burden to just give my time to my writing, because even though I'm still unemployed, guys. But I am job hunting now. I am able to, now that immigration has allowed me to. again, for those of you who don't know, I don't know if I ever publicly said this, but I did move from Canada to the United States. So we're in a whole process, okay? Yeah, anyways. But like, even though I still have all this time, I feel like my time is still super limited. And I know a lot of people say that that's how they feel when they start like working for themselves and working from home and being self-employed, is that all of a sudden you have too much time. And I think I'm just learning a lot more about how I work and how like having structure and having like limited time really helps me focus and get into like a groove, specifically with writing. But again, it like limits how much I'm able to do in other areas as well. So that being said, I do feel like I might be getting to a place where I am comfortable getting back into a groove with posting, and honestly, it might just be YouTube. I don't know what this looks like, and I'm trying not to put too much pressure on myself to make it seem a certain way, and to like to post all the time. Like, I want my mind to be more on my story than on the content that I'm posting, because at the end of the day, my goal isn't to be a content creator, although that is really fun, and there is a part of me that does want to do that. And my focus is always going to be on my writing, and I really want to get this book done. I've already been rewriting this book for over a year. Okay? This was supposed to take me 6 months. And then obviously like a bunch of like life stuff happened and got in the way of that. But it was also just because like when I did have time, I wasn't giving it to writing my book. I was giving it to YouTube, to TikTok, to other things. Sometimes even books, guys. Sometimes even reading was a distraction, okay? That being said, I'm making no promises here that I'm going to be posting consistently. I just felt the spurt of inspiration to film this video and get back into editing. I miss that kind of creativeness. But my priority is writing. My priority is finishing this Winds of Destiny rewrite, which while I've stepped away from YouTube, I have made like immense progress on. It's to finish writing this trilogy and to just love writing. Like, I just miss how writing used to feel, and I'm finally at a place now where it's like it feels like it did when I first started, where I'm just constantly thinking about my story. I'm so excited to get back to it. I feel so motivated to finish it, and I want to hold on to that, especially now that it's like NaNoWriMo season. Like, I will not be participating in NaNoWriMo this year. I actually don't think I'll ever participate in it. I don't know, because every time I've tried, it's just been horrible. However, I do want to challenge myself to finish this rewrite. At least, okay. I would hope that I can finish it by the 30th of November. And if not, my actual deadline I've given myself is the end of this year. So December 31st. But I'm really using like NaNoWriMo as motivation to just write as much as possible. Anyways, that was just like a very long-winded life update, I guess, or like creative update. And no one asked for it, but I just really felt that someone else needed to hear that. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. Either way, this was therapeutic for me.